and Ukraine is striking back. Last night, our drones caused explosions in Russia's Engels and Saratov. In the Volgograd region, the Belostersky substation, the largest in the area, was damaged. Several districts were left without power. There are reports online about a fire near the Ryazan Oil Refinery and about explosions near the Kursk Thermal Power Plant. Belgorod is currently without electricity.
Meanwhile, the situation on the Pokrovsk front remains extremely difficult. Russian forces are present in the urban areas of Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad, according to the military themselves. The enemy is infiltrating in small groups and trying to disrupt the logistics of the defense forces. Since the beginning of the day alone, the occupiers have tried 57 times to push our soldiers from their positions. The main goal for the Russians remains the rapid occupation of the city. Nearly a third of all battles on the front are currently taking place near Pokrovsk. And just as the US successfully conducted a test of a strategic missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead for the first time in decades, Putin also started talking about new nuclear tests.
Tehran isn't lagging behind either. The Iranians are planning to restore nuclear facilities that were damaged by the US and Israel. Anna Brikova on the nuclear geopolitical dance.
The Russians, fans of nuclear power, are once again rattling their sabers with renewed vigor. Symbolically, on the so-called Day of National Unity, Putin once again boasted about his Wunderwaffe, dusted off from old Soviet blueprints.
At last, Russia is unveiling both the unlimited-range cruise missiles Burevestnik and the unmanned underwater vehicle Poseidon equipped with nuclear power units.
They have also launched the nuclear missile cruiser Khabarovsk, which is supposedly designed to carry these Poseidons. However, it turned out that several players can join this game at once. For the first time in many years, the United States of America has decided to resume nuclear testing.
Because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed the Department of Defense to begin testing our nuclear weapons on an equal footing. And
just a few days later, the Americans did in fact launch a Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile on a test flight. However, it was without a warhead. But the tests will continue. Meanwhile, Russia responded in turn. Putin convened the Security Council and ordered preparations for nuclear tests in response. However, this no longer caused any concern.
I haven't reacted to meetings organized by Putin for a long time now. He gets paid as the president of Russia, so he organizes meetings. And
from time to time, he pulls out either the Oreshnik or the Burevestnik whenever things don't go according to the Kremlin's plan. After all, for a long time, Russia pretended to be almost a monopolist in nuclear testing after North Korea's Kim. But can we already talk about a nuclear arms race?
For example, even if the Russians are ready to start some kind of arms race in this field as well, it's not a given that they need it. American missiles exist, everyone has seen that they exist, everyone has seen them being used, while all these various Russian Burevestnik missiles so far exist only in statements made by Putin himself.
Moreover, an arms race costs enormous amounts of money, which the Russians lack because those funds are being spent on the war against Ukraine. So for now, it's just a race of verbal intimidation, although in the Kremlin they're probably already looking for resources, just like in Iran, where they are working to restore the nuclear program, whose facilities were struck by US and Israeli forces during the 12-day war. At least that's the plan announced by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. He emphasized that it is for peaceful purposes. We have always maintained that our nuclear program is peaceful, and the IAEA has confirmed this. However, Iran stopped cooperating with the IAEA at the end of September. Before that, negotiations were ongoing. There were two positions: to ban everything completely or to allow uranium enrichment under IAEA supervision. However, the voices have fallen silent. The statement by the Iranian authorities is considered more political and strategic.
I don't think that at this point we're talking about the technical capability to restore these facilities. As I understand it, the technical condition is so poor that Iran is still unable to access the stockpile of highly enriched uranium that is buried there.
So the real prospect of carrying out such intentions is in question. Moreover, the United States has stated that the response will not be the restoration of the damaged facilities. Intelligence is keeping a close watch. In the
event that Iran really does try to rebuild something, then Most likely it will only be a matter of time, meaning that the real question is not if, but rather when it happens and at what stage it will occur. There will be a military halt either by the United States or by Israel, depending on how the situation develops. Well, most likely by Israel.
There is a theory that before the strikes, Iran did in fact move some of its enriched uranium and equipment. And although this is not a fact, there are rumors that Russia might have helped as well, since during negotiations it offered itself as a conditionally neutral mediator. Supposedly, they would keep the enriched uranium themselves and return it to Iran for downgrading.
It doesn't seem that the Kremlin didn't voice this for no reason. Obviously, such agreements for various possible developments for different scenarios had already been worked out between Moscow and Tehran.
However, there are doubts about this version as well. After all, the Iranians believe that Russia abandoned them in a difficult moment.
The Iranians are forced to cooperate with Russia because they don't have many options. But they really don't want to cooperate with it, especially when it comes to such sensitive matters. Issues where trust is particularly important.
And Russia has lost that trust among many global players. And it no longer appears to be such a fearsome beast girded with a nuclear belt.
The enemy has advanced on the front near 2 villages in the direction of Kostiantynivka and near 1 settlement towards Myrnohrad and Pokrovsk. The report by analysts from the Deep State portal mentions Belgorod, Pleshchivka and Kozatske. The most intense situation remains in Pokrovsk, where street fighting is ongoing, and near Myrnohrad, which the occupiers are trying to encircle. Commanders from the front report that the situation has somewhat improved for Ukrainian assault troops. In Pokrovsk, they are managing to clear buildings of the enemy. Meanwhile, the enemy is now using this infiltration tactic, seeping into populated areas and territories on other fronts as well, particularly in the Zaporizhzhia region, where the Russians are trying to penetrate our rear through the former Kakhovka reservoir. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has calculated that there were 180 clashes on the front line over the past day, with Russian losses amounting to 1,190 personnel. 20 artillery systems, 3 multiple rocket launchers, 1 air defense system, and a helicopter were also destroyed. According to various sources in Ukraine, there are currently over 100,000 cases of amputations. The vast majority of people who have lost limbs suffer from phantom pain. This pain does not go away on its own, and there is no 100% effective medical treatment for it. And now, Ukrainian IT specialists have found a solution that is already helping to relieve it. Why should rehabilitation specialists across the country open offices with virtual reality? I investigated this myself, and tomorrow I'll tell you all about it exclusively on TSN Week. Annoying.
Like a toothache.
Burning.
I feel my legs, I feel my knees, I feel my foot.
Unbearable.
Even painkillers used to help.
Phantom pain in limbs that are no longer there. After the nerves are cut, they try to regenerate, to recover. You can't get rid of this pain with just pills. Physical therapy alone won't be able to tame it. But in Ukraine, where the war continues and the number of people with amputated limbs grows every day, they've come up with a way to help people see their lost or new limb in virtual space.
A sensor draws in the missing limb, whether it's an arm or a leg. Signals from the brain are adjusted and the phantom pain subsides.
How did Ukrainian IT specialists find a cure for phantom limb syndrome after amputations?
The biggest challenge was an engineering one.
And why should VR specialists work alongside rehabilitation therapists in military hospitals? Codes Against Pain. Watch tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. only on TSN Week with Ala Mazur. And today is Air Assault Forces Day. Ukrainian hackers decided to congratulate our soldiers on this holiday in their own way. They took over the broadcast of a Russian TV channel on the temporarily occupied peninsula, Crim 24. On the screens, interrupting some propaganda segment, a greeting to our Air Assault Forces soldiers appeared. In it, there was a warning for people in Crimea to get ready, because the Air Assault Forces are near. The Day of the Air Assault Forces was first celebrated on November 8th, on the day of Archangel Michael, the patron of warriors. Previously, the date was different, but with the switch to the new calendar, it was changed. So, we express our gratitude to our assault troops, who are the first to carry out the most difficult tasks on the most dangerous front lines. And you can see right now how the occupiers reacted to the hacker greeting.
Honey, I'm watching TV. I'm so curious.
Why is this happening? Can you explain what is causing this situation? Could you please help me understand why this is happening right now?